Aloha and welcome. Thank you for joining me, Jamie Champagne, all the way from Hawaii, as we talk about, this data informed or we hear data driven, where we really just want to use our data successfully. I'm super excited to be here with you and, to kind of think about, what ways we can really ask good questions to use our data. How do we approach how we're using our data to make those smart decisions? And then, actually leveraging all the power behind the data today for faster, smarter, more informed decision making. And because I live in a world of business and speak with others, and we hear all these terms today about data informed, data driven, and again, kind of these words are thrown out there, and it's about like, well, what are we really trying to do? We have data, it's great, we can do so much with it, but what's that goal? Know your why when you start diving into data. It's out there, you can use it, you can do all kinds of things with it, but have a goal. Can you give me a goal on why you're even looking at data, why you're thinking about data, or why you're even asking others about data? Give me a goal, a business goal, non-data, technical, anything else. Start off with a goal and get real clear on that goal, because then you can start delving into the wild world of data and thinking about how best to use it for those decision making. Because you want to take that goal now and start asking those good questions, those things we naturally do in conversation. That when you're looking at how to run your business, how to decide the next investment, what project, portfolio, or strategic planning direction we need to go, what are we looking at? Why? Which one? How? Where? When? Who's doing it? Start breaking down your business concern, that business need, and where do we want to go with it? We'll use the term functional decomposition, or even like, that tool of 5 whys, asking why over and over. Ask, why do we care about this problem? Why should we be looking at this opportunity? Why now? Why not tomorrow? Why not yesterday? Get into those good questions habits at the beginning of our data work is what gives us that success, that we're actually leveraging data to make good decision making. Now, the types of questions come into play now. And I want you to think about those kinds of questions you're asking of others, asking of yourself. And is it more past or backwards focused versus what I like to get us into, that future focus? The leaders of tomorrow are worried about tomorrow. They're not worried about today. So look at your own questions, because we're really good at asking like the what questions. Descriptive is a type that where we just say, what happened? Like something broke? Well, what happened? We're very good at that, but that's looking at what happened in the past. It already occurred. We will do the natural courses. Why did it happen? Why did it break? Why do we have this issue? Again, very backwards looking, good to know. We don't like to repeat our history, but it's not how we make those tomorrow decisions. Where I start getting a little bit more into predictive now questions is thinking about what could happen, looking at the data. This is where you start expanding your view of that data and don't just compare it happened. So what is that great question? It happened, so what? So what do we think may happen because it happened in the past? The thing though, what I really want to push you to when you want to use data for good business decisions, good business making, is I want you to get more in that term of prescriptive. Think about the perspective of what could happen in the future. This is very future focused. Thinking about data. Yes, there's uncertainty. What's the best that could happen? Because what I want you doing with your questions is get to the perspective of what would help the business tomorrow. This is where you're looking at the data. And yes, you can look at some of those past trends, but start applying more questions about what do we expect to happen. Get it forward thinking a little bit more. Even though we're looking at the data, you're diving in. You want to try to anticipate, even predict, right? I know we would all love a crystal ball, but let's get to that future state Again, I've got insight. I see trends and patterns. Is that what's going to happen tomorrow? Many of us did not anticipate the world of today. It could happen. When will it happen? What do we care? What are we worried about? And again, put in some assumptions. I've got some great insight from past data, from current data. What are we going to look at? Because I want to push to drive those decisions based on the trends. Not saying it's going to guarantee happen, but I got to get there. Now, when I want to get there and I want to use the data to help me with this forward thinking, I want you to think now about how you get that data. And it's a simple checklist that I think we all need to start with a little better, even in the day-to-day. And if we have big data analytics teams, start off with basics and just think about, what do I have access to? What does the team have access to? What do they naturally use? What's at your fingertips right now? Look around the screen. What do you see you're using frequently, daily? You have that access. And then later on, what do you need access to? Because that's where you need the help. We need to get some of that insight, that data. And how you might naturally get that data from, say, marketing. Could IT have that same data? Even in your groups where you might typically go, do you know alternative sources for that data? We've got big projects to consolidate and leverage our data. Where are those sources? Do we know that? And here's the coolest thing I love about getting that forward perspective and really getting people to think about their data is, can you think of substitutes for your data? I want to know about our customers and the products they're purchasing. I may not have all that today for marketing. However, IT has website traffic. They can tell me who's using mobile devices or not. That's not exactly the customer data I want, but it's customer insight. So getting those data from different locations, think about that, because that's going to drive in how you answer, who you can ask for help. Now, here's a big deal. When you ask for help, you got to ask for help the right way. You want help with your data, you got to ask the right way. And so I've got this simple cheat sheet for you to start asking others when you want data. Tell me what. I want this kind of data because why? And so what exactly do you need? This is a wonderful structure, simple, to the point, keeps you focused of what you need because it answers the why. I want to know what's going to drive up revenue. I want to know what's going to keep our customers retained. Why? Because we want this. We want a long term. We want to withstand, economic impacts, pandemics. And so what data do I need? I'm looking for this kind of data. The best part, when you ask others for this approach, come from this perspective with your data needs, your data questions, the data experts, they can help you. They don't worry about the what and the why because that's all you. You've got the business edge to it. They can help correct you on which data can best answer your questions, which data will best line up to giving you the what and why. Now, here's the thing, they'll give you a plethora of data. We have all this overload. I want you to then think about when you look at data, we've got to separate correlation from causation. I want causation because that gives me effects, gives me insights. If I do this, it'll cause this. But when you look at data, just because there's a correlation doesn't mean it's a causation. Does one cause the other all the time? And if you're looking at this data yourself or with teams sitting around, always ask the question and flip it. Just because people purchase during this time of year, flip it around. During this time of year, we can cause people to purchase. If they can be flipped, they may not be that causation we need. They might just be correlation. It's that causation piece that helps us determine, based on this, this will probably happen because that's future focused. It's not just correlation. And I mean, this are simple, guys, as things as we pulled up data, the neighborhood that orders the most delivery pizza has the highest crime rate. Is that random correlation or is there some sort of causation that because you order pizza, you have a higher crime rate? It want to be careful in how we take the data and leverage it for decision making. I use the example of the employees with the highest number of help desk tickets also has the lowest amount of training. Well, is that correlation or causation? Pause and ask these questions when people present data for you. And is it true? There might be a true correlation here, but it really depends. What kind of training were they getting? What kind of help desk tickets were they putting in? See, it causes us to break it further down into understanding. And of course, one of my favorite questions, that data projects with data business analysts assigned full-time, finish on time, on budget with original scope more often than projects without full-time business data analytics people, right? Someone told me my favorite answer was that was actual fact. That wasn't a correlation or causation. But again, just think through these data relationships we start seeing when you start diving into your data, because you want to start asking what's important. You need that business piece on here. Why is the relationship even important? If we find one, what do we care about? What's so great about that? Because what's the point of it? I want normally to shape my decision-making by using that data. And so the thing about this is, what can I do having that insight, having that correlation? And so what you want to come out of the data when you start looking into it now, here's the key, guys. We've got to create an action statement. That means forward progress, not just a good idea. What are we doing forward? That I give you the structure here again, as our goal is to what? What's our goal or why? Remember, what should we do? This is that push to leverage the data we've learned. So we should do this. And it's as simple as our goal is to increase revenue, we should focus our efforts on profitable products. Pretty no-brainer, makes sense there. Notice, so I'm giving a direction and I'm clear on where I'm coming from, because this can really help those business strategy decisions. When you say our goal is to connect with a younger customer base, we should invest in mobile solutions. I love this because it sets that strategy, that direction, without telling how. I leave it up to the experts, our SMEs, our analysts, to figure out how exactly we should invest. But I know, and I get that backing of, if we really want that connection with the younger audience, let's change our portfolios to include mobile applications, mobile solutions. Let's look at what we're doing there. Now, if I'm going to come to you, though, with this proposal, I have got to visually present my conclusions. And think about what we see, guys. When we look at visuals, if I want to show growth, give me a trend line that shows growth. If I want more growth, I want to do this, give me the growth picture. I'm talking about resources and needing people in that increase, give me the visuals. Decisions, do you have it laid out that it's so obvious, I want you to do this. If you do this, you will get this. A decision based on my data, make it obvious. And as simple as how many times we're looking for budgeting, funding, support. Are you actually showing money in your pictures? Because these visual guys, it's simple. We overcomplicate it though, because we have PowerPoint and tools and BI platforms and warehouses. We can overcomplicate our message. It's not clear that if you have something of true importance, you want to bring that to the forefront and highlight. 45% of our customer base comes to us from mobile, 45% of our customer base comes to us from mobile technologies. That's how they access our products, our services. Pull it to the forefront and get really good on your visuals, such that you see if they convey the action you want taken. Just because you make a decision based on data, I've got to move people to do things that I need them to connect and understand a key item. Don't overcomplicate it. Get them focused so that they're only on one thing at a time. And then go back. Is your action statement in there? As we want to increase profits, we need to focus on these products. Are your products in there? Give them that focus. Focus on the goal and drive the action, the behavior. Now, of course, when we do this, there's the art and the science. We've done the science of the data. You've got to bring in the art and sell your story. Anything that's bought into and supported comes with a story. So you've got to figure out what you're telling. And the simplest things, guys, is go back to our fairy tales. When we were younger, we may not remember every detail in the beginning or throughout, but we know that fairy tale ending. We know the hero rides off into the sunset. You remember that, and that's what you want your audience to connect to. Give me that fairy tale ending of the hero riding off in the sunset, the heroine being successful, overcoming those challenges. because think about what you want people to walk away with. That's why those visuals are so powerful in shaping our data. But now if you're going to do these kind of decision makings, you got to drive the action within the context of the business. When I present a proposal, come at me with also the gaps and opportunities. Yes, there are challenges we're going to face, but give me those opportunities that are presenting right now. Tell us how we're positioned better. Layer the business case around your presentation and articulate what the organization has to do to make your decision successful. Too many times we throw it out that, hey, this is a great idea. However, did we consider the rest of the organization, our training competencies, our staff capabilities, our functional areas, how we're structured? If that structure got to change to be successful, our data insights are not going to drive the behavior, those results that we're looking for. And to think about this, guys, here's a great way to layer it in. Think about it, guys. A great way to layer it in is the business ownership. You've leveraged that data to move forward, and you want to keep using that data to prove the success, right? So who owns the data? Who is making decisions based on this data? Who gets to make the decisions about what data we have, where it's going, how we're using it? Let's be very clear on who's paying for this. Do you know who's owning the decision and the data? But then success comes from recognizing who's going to maintain it, who's going to continuously manage the results of our decisions, who's going to keep going back looking at the data, who's going to approve changes that we can see the change in our profits, in our user base. Where's that going to come from? And I mean, guys, it can be as simple as doing a racing matrix, an operational support model, where you think about, like, I'm using customer data for my decision making. We're using it for new products. Who is actually owning and using that versus who needs to access it? If we're looking at website solution, mobile solutions, that data itself we're going to leverage and use for continued decision making of our products, of our directions. Where's it going? Even something as simple as governance, which can quickly get complicated. Who's going to look at where we're using this data compared to other data efforts, compared to other data-driven decisions, and how we're proving that ROI, the return of investment and value back on it? And so these are key things to get your data-driven decision-making into business success. And so I've got this all on my website, that if you want more data tricks and tips on how to leverage your data, I have it on my website. Please go check it out. But the biggest thing is, please connect with me so we continue these conversations, because data is only as powerful as we use it. And learning to get that forward perspective, being smart with our business decision making, and moving our businesses, our organizations for long-term success, that's the key in using the power of data. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my favorite place. And I have more information about data-driven decision-making and using it for business success. And I thank you so much for your time today and look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.